This is one of the first times I think I can say that Portland, Oregon looks like one of the warmest places in the country right now.
It looks amazing.
It looks pretty good. I feel bad for everybody in 90% of the country right now, where it's like negative 60 degrees. Hello, this is Digital Trends Live. This is our daily show here from Digital Trends, where we talk about the trending tech topics of the day. We bring you interviews, all kinds of things, all while broadcasting live. And we are on Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, and broadcast across many different outlets. So wherever you're finding us, thank you for doing that. But if you have comments and questions you want to bring in, drop those in there and we will absolutely answer those. I want to say hi to EJ in the UK. We've got Marie who's in there. I see Rick. We've got YouTube comments coming in. Drop those in and we will definitely talk to you as we go through. I'm Greg Nibbler and let's take a look at our rundown for today of what we're going to be covering. So, coming up here in just a little bit, we're going to be heading to our New York studio. So, we're here in Portland. We've got our Portland studio where we broadcast from, but we're also in New York. And our New York studio, we're going to be joined by Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief, who's going to be talking to Lyron Bentovin, who is the CEO and president of the Glimpse Group. So, what does the Glimpse Group do? Well, we're going to get into that, but I'll tell you this. They cover AR, augmented reality, and virtual reality for business situations, like business-to-business applications, which is a whole new area of VR and AR that I think is going to be really utilized quite a bit. I mean, think about having virtual meetings with your coworkers, or maybe you have a coworker and then you don't have to be in the same room with them. You can just have them virtually there, or however you want to apply that. You can definitely. There's lots of applications. So we're going to be talking to Lyron about that with the Glimpse Group. Then we're going to be joined by Ronan Glon, our automotive editor, in another edition of Where in the World is Ronan? So I heard he's in Sweden at this point and he's driving some new cars, some fancy new cars that he's going to be talking about. But also we're going to kind of cover some of the big stories in the automotive world and kind of the automotive tech world over the last week. So we'll be talking about those in a bit and lots more right here on Digital Trends, including our Read 'em and Weep segment coming up. But we're joined now by Riley Wynn. Hello, Riley.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Riley. It is nice to have you back in here. For everybody out there who's watching who doesn't know, Riley, what do you do here?
I am the guy who runs all of our social media. So all of those videos, all of the tweets, Facebook posts, anything you see on our social media, I'm the guy who's doing it. A lot of power.
A lot of power.
Hopefully I don't mess it up
Very
too much.
Powerful person in here who may or may not have spilled something on his shirt, but it's below the...
Yeah, you can't see it, so it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Doesn't count. It's just like deleting a tweet. It didn't happen. All right. Well, Riley, we've got a lot to talk about here this morning as we walk through our tech headlines. Let's kind of get to one of the big ones. There's actually some pretty big stories that are going on right now, but one of them that I think a lot of people are pretty upset about, especially if you're an Apple user, is this. Apple has revealed, it's been announced, there is a FaceTime bug that allows callers to hear and possibly see the recipient before they answer. So let's walk through this. Facebook, and I'm not an Apple user. Do you use an iPhone?
I have an iPhone.
Do you want to walk us through how this works? So this FaceTime application.
Yeah, so like FaceTime, it's kind of like a Skype or video call for those of you who aren't aware of what it is. And for the FaceTime bug, the way it works is you call someone, and while you're calling, like it has your screen, your face popping up, and you're waiting for the other person to answer.
And the other person can, hit
accept or decline, whatever, like a normal phone call. But with this bug, you can actually go in and you can do like group FaceTimes. And so you go add another person, instead of adding a different person, you just add your own phone number. And then it automatically answers for the person.
So that means that the other person, when they're calling, you could be listening to them and seeing them without them actually hitting accept.
Yes.
That's not cool.
It is not cool at all.
That is not cool. So that's what's happening with, and the thing is, the bug is still there. Yep. They actually, as of right now, they haven't actually fixed it. So it is on the group call feature of FaceTime, to where potentially, if you have been using FaceTime, the group call feature, over this last little while here, you could have had the person that you called, say they hung up. Well, imagine now, maybe they saw you and they're listening to you, and then they hung up. It's really unnerving, though, the fact that this is actually a bug that Apple has, especially just with Apple, some of the issues that have gone on, with everybody else with their data privacy issues, just with Apple having this, it's not very fun to know. So we've got a whole article about this at digitaltrends.com, but to kind of walk through a little bit. So there are ways to turn it off. You can kind of get rid of it. Apple has said that they're working on coming up with a solution for this right now, but just the idea that this exists is not very comforting. As an Apple user, how do you feel about this?
I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I will say one thing is on Digital Trends as well, we have the how to turn off FaceTime.
Yes.
So if you're looking for instructions how to turn it off, go there. You can get all the information you need. But I think this is awful. I think this is a perfect tool for crazy exes. Like, think about it.
Yeah.
Like if you're like not over your ex or whatever, and you just want to like see what's going on, like, yikes! Like, just start eavesdropping on someone. That freaks me out.
It seems like you've thought this out quite a bit. Okay,
yeah, no. I was like, I got to turn my
which
FaceTime
side you're
off.
on that. But I mean, that's true. Just the idea that someone, I mean, that's unnerving for a lot of people. You know, just the idea that somebody could see. Because I'll admit, sometimes maybe I'm busy and I can't answer a phone call. I mean, never, if I know you and you've called me and I haven't answered, it's something very important was going on. That's the only reason I didn't answer. But some of the other people out there, not you, sometimes I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm busy right now. Yeah. And I just, and I, you know, we all do it. We hit decline sometimes. Yeah. You know, like, oh, I'll call that person back in a little bit. Now, if they can see me and imagine, you know, imagine some other calls too. Maybe some people will be like, oh God, this guy again. Decline. Like now, you have to think about the fact that they may have heard that. So there's also something else that came out, and this is just actually started showing up about an hour ago before we went on air, is that Apple may have been made aware of this problem up to a week ago and didn't apparently do anything about it or make an announcement. There's a person who said that their teen son discovered this issue, and they've got screen caps of both posting it on Twitter, tagging Apple support, and sending emails, and they tagged Tim Cook, and multiple attempts to try to make Apple aware of this. They apparently didn't get any response, so we will have to see what goes on. I'm taking a look here on YouTube. Tom just dropped in. Love your channel. Don't know what this is about. Well, Tom, thanks for joining in. We're talking about the Apple FaceTime issue where there's a huge thing going on right now where a FaceTime bug could have let someone listen in on another person on the other end before they hit accept to the phone call. So a lot to kind of digest there, and we do have articles up at Digital Trends that you can take a look at and you know, let us know what you think about that, how you feel about Apple's issue. And gosh, it's really coming through. Okay, I'm saying here, Marie just said, don't give them ideas, Riley. Referencing Riley and the crazy X factor that he's adding in there. So yeah, a lot of things to think about here.
Yeah, I turned off my FaceTime. I was like a little nervous about it.
Try calling Riley right now if you know him. All right. Let's go on and let's do a little bit of read 'em and weep here. So this is our segment every day where we take a look at some comments, some questions that have come through across our social media platforms. We're going to get back to the tech headlines here in a second, but let's walk through some different things. Jake, our producer, goes through these comments and brings them up. I don't look at them beforehand, so I don't know what we're going to get into. Kahan O'Carroll, regarding how much are the initials LV worth? $700 if you put them on your earbuds. This is from a Facebook article. So is no one really going to clock that it says Horizon and not Verizon? No? Okay. I didn't take a look at this. So we're talking about the Louis Vuitton earbuds. I know what this is a reference to. Did one of our articles say Horizon and not Verizon?
I don't think so. This
as our social media.
Yeah. So this article was pretty popular on our social channels. This looks like they might have been trying to like comment on like the next post. Like this has like, there was nothing about like a phone company at all. Like it was just purely about these headphones and, you know, their designer headphones. So I have a feeling they might have been trying to comment on a post below or above. Yeah. And just got slipped up, you know, because yeah, there's like no reference at all.
Okay. All right.
But they're pretty sweet headphones. I wouldn't pay $700.
Yeah, I don't know. $700 for earbuds. Would anybody out there pay $700 for earbuds?
Well, what, AirPods are what, $200?
Yeah.
And then you throw the LV on it, it's like, oh,
it's worth that much.
I'm high fashion.
Right.
Like,
are you a Louis Vuitton man?
No. Does it look like it? I think I'm wearing
faux Vuittons.
Old Navy.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry. I just got notification on what it is that we're referencing here. So it's regarding that they're fake. So the fake Louis Vuitton.
Gotcha.
Horizon instead of Verizon.
Gotcha.
Took us that long to work through it.
Yeah.
Kahan O'Carroll, thank you for that comment. Read it and weep. We're live. Let's walk through here. Let's see. I want to say hello on Facebook as well. Rakara watching from Nairobi, Kenya. Hello. Thank you for joining us. So we do this show live every day, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. I don't know what time it is in Nairobi, but I appreciate you tuning in very much. From Uperganger, regarding Uperganger. I like that name. Regarding this is how to wall mount your TV. I mean, they have pretty thick concrete walls to drill into, but how do I even hide the cables? Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a TV installer.
Riley, I need you to answer this question. I mean, you're here on the show. I mean, this is kind of the job.
Get some, like,
how would you respond
piping.
to this, being our social media person?
You know, I'd say get some gaff tape and run it down the wall to hide the wires. Okay. Yeah, I don't have concrete walls. I have plaster walls like a normal person. I don't live in a James Bond villain lair where I have concrete walls everywhere.
That'd be pretty sweet, though.
That would be pretty awesome.
All right, that'd be
have sharks.
Good. Yes, sharks would always be good. All right, Uberganger, thank you for your comment. Walking through, that was on YouTube. And again, we have comments everywhere. Christy Robinson regarding bezel-less phones are terrible for typing on, and it's only going to get worse. This is an article that actually Andy Boxall, one of our mobile editors, put up, talking about how much of a pain it is to type on a bezel-less phone. Because it is.
Yeah, you're going down to the very
sliding
bottom.
Everywhere. Yeah, it is kind of a pain. Christy, though, says, really, if you're not using voice dictation or swipe writing, then you deserve your aching thumbs. I still picture Christy like typing this out. Did you really
Christy
say
already.
that? Really? Question mark, exclamation point. If you're not, I mean, is that how, do you think how she actually said that?
Really? Really?
Question mark, exclamation point? I mean, I would think you would have to dictate that part, or type in that part. But regardless, Christy, thank you for your judging there.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Yeah, no, but not really. Like, voice dictation on phones is not very good.
Yeah.
If you have any like voice in the background or music in the background, it's very hard to pick up what you're trying to say. And then also, swipe writing is from like 2012. Like, honestly, like I don't know anyone that's used the swipe writing app since, 2012 when it came out.
Please reply just that with your social media account.
Yeah.
That's so 2012, Christy.
Yeah. Well,
Marie also says on Facebook, I bet she's one of those people who uses voice dictation on public transit. Yeah, don't be that person. That's the worst. I mean, I will say this. Worst person, someone who talks really loudly on public transit, or someone who talks really loudly in an elevator with other people?
Elevator doesn't bother me.
It doesn't? How does an elevator
It doesn't bother me because, like, it's like, do you mean talking on the phone or talking to someone
Yeah, talking
else?
on the phone.
It doesn't bother me.
Oh, my
I usually have my headphones,
God.
like, on the bus, it bothers me because they're so loud, and it's already so loud with the engine running and everything.
Elevator people are way worse. I mean, mass transit is bad enough, but elevator people, I mean, you have no escape. There's nothing you can do but listen to this person and their loud conversation, and they're putting on a show for everybody. No, worst person.
Yeah, they are always, like, very, like, flamboyant and, like, gregarious, and, like, the way they talk, like, go for Greg, like.
Yeah. That's how I answer my phones. Go for Greg. Christy, thank you for your comment. As we're walking through our Read 'em and Weep segment here, taking a look at some different comments and questions that come through before we get back into some tech news. Mark Bone regarding with this spoon fork phone case, you never have to glance away while eating. I hope if I ever get that bad, someone kills me. And we're talking about a phone case that does have a spoon and a
spoon and a fork.
A spoon and a fork. Thank you. A spoon and a fork in it as you use it. Riley, I feel like you would use this.
I would, if they sent me one, I would totally use it. 100%.
Yeah.
I would do what I want to do is I want to do like a video where it's all I use to eat for like a week. And how it changed the way I ate or the way I used my phone.
You know how gross that thing's gonna be? Because you'd have to wash it like all the time. I mean,
I'm not gonna just let it just stay stanky and gross. I don't want to get sick.
Man, I don't know. Yeah, well, I think that you should get one, so we should absolutely.
I do want to get one. I'll have to reach out to them.
Here. Just eating oatmeal and talking on the phone, all in the same thing. Like,
just come on to DT Live and just, oh, hey.
No. Nope, not going to happen. All right, let's go on. We have got one more. Mother Earth, powered by Yahweh. I think that's supposed to say Yahweh. Oh, boy. I don't even know. I have not read this yet. I know everybody else is reading it right now. This is the first time I'm going to read this. Regarding how 5G will change your smartphone and your life in 2019. Exactly, AI robotoid.
Robotoid.
Okay, exactly AI robotoid friendly. Fast enough to obliterate humanity into extinction and be replaced with mechanical something. 5G equals Satan's frequency to Wi-Fi us all into extinction. Mother Earth, you win the best comment of the day.
Best comment. Oh my goodness.
5G is definitely bringing out some really amazing comments in people. Our conspiracy side is huge. There's so much to digest there. I don't know what AI robotoid friendly, Wi-Fi your brain. I mean, now I'm going to start using that.
I'm going to start saying Wi-Fi. That's a pretty good phrase. I like that one a lot. Satan's
Get off the
frequency.
Wi-Fi, bro. Yeah. All right, so a lot to go in there. That's Read 'em and Weep. That's our segment that we have every day here on Digital Trends Live. We start at 9 a.m., 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We go through this. We do like to see what the people say. So drop in your comments and questions. I see a lot of people who are joining us right now across our different social media platforms. Let's talk about some other tech headlines. Another big story happening today. We talked about the Apple FaceTime issue. This one has to do with Huawei. Now, we know Huawei's been having some issues with the U.S. government for a little bit, and today we've got it went a little bit more, and this happened to be yesterday. So we found out a lot more. A lot of indictments have been dropped against Huawei for a myriad of charges. There are, I believe, a 10-count indictment alleges that China's Huawei stole trade secrets from U.S. carrier T-Mobile beginning in 2012. So there's that. We're going to go through that here just a little bit to kind of explain that and explain why this matters to you. 10 counts regarding that. There's also an additional 13-count indictment charging 4 defendants from Huawei, including Chief Financial Officer Meng Wanzhou, who is in Canadian custody right now, and the U.S. is trying to get her extradited here. What we're showing you on screen is something related to the T-Mobile issue. So what happened is in 2012, T-Mobile was creating this is a robot called Tappy, that T-Mobile came up with. And the way the robot was going to work is it would tap on phones and test software for phones. So people didn't actually have to sit there and use their thumbs to do it. So this thing would tap on phones. It was the prototype they had, and they were thinking about selling this to different phone carriers or leasing the license for it. And Huawei was one of the companies that they were thinking about. So Huawei came to their operations in the state of Washington, and we're taking a look at the robot, just to kind of go over it and see if it's something they wanted to lease. Well, there's an entire detailed account of what happened on this, but they guess they were relentlessly trying to steal the technology from it. And there's a whole email chain going back and forth from the Huawei employees who were there at the T-Mobile branch, who were trying to get the information, and then people from Huawei trying to tell them to send it back. It's pretty hilarious in certain aspects. I mean, it's very illegal what they were trying to do. They even snuck in somebody at one point to try to get more information on Tappy. This is all being revealed through these, through what's been happening right now, through these new indictments. So 23 different indictments against Huawei, and there's a lot that does actually affect us when it comes down to it. Yeah, because I mean, Huawei's been trying to get their phones in the U.S., and this is only just going to prolong them entry, like if ever. Yeah, if ever. And the thing is, like at CES and other like Mobile World Congress, when we see these Huawei phones, they weren't at CES. They weren't? No, not this year. I don't believe so. No, I don't think they were allowed in to do that. Okay, so last year they were for sure. Yes. But one thing, like Julian, our mobile editor, always raves about like their phones, and so does Andy Boxall. And it's like they're these great phones that we just don't have access to. And that's kind of a bummer, but also like you shouldn't be rewarded for doing super illegal stuff and stealing people's ideas and patents and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing a new game idea every time a news outlet mispronounces Huawei. Take a drink. I probably am not pronouncing it in the correct way. We'd get really drunk real quick. Yeah, everybody at home play along with that one. Well, one of the other big things with this company is what Huawei's trying to do is they want to be the leader in 5G technology. We all know 5G is obviously a very, very big buzzword, if nothing else. But I mean, this technology is going to change the way that we interact with the world. And they are some of the leaders in the infrastructure in order to roll that out. They've got their infrastructure really going in Europe, all over the world, and they want to get into the United States. The thing the U.S. government is saying is this company can't be trusted to lay down the infrastructure for all of that technology because everything's going to run on it. The ability to tap into that and to spy or to manipulate it is really, really there. You need some intense regulation to keep that from happening, no matter who it is that rolls out the technology. And what's being alleged is that Huawei is not the one to be trusted with this, and that they shouldn't be allowed to roll all this out unmitigated without any kind of oversight. And so that's kind of where some of this indictment comes from, where the indictments come from. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if, it's the CFO, correct? Yes, the CFO
if she gets extradited to the U.S.
Yeah.
That'll be a real game changer in the proceedings of this.
It's big, and it crosses a lot of different platforms. You know, we don't get political on this show, so the political side, you can find that info wherever you want to go. But the technology side, I mean, it's a big deal. It intersects with a lot of different categories, and this, you know, and it's going to affect when we get 5G, good or bad. There's all kinds of different implications when it comes down to this. So you can follow up on this story at Digital Trends, digitaltrends.com. You can take a look there and kind of get caught up on where it is that we're at with this, what's going on, and stay abreast of the news when it comes down to that. All right. Let's get on to, let's see, I think we have a couple more minutes here before we're going to be heading to our New York studio here in just a few, where we're going to be talking to Larry Bedevin from the Glimpse Group with Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief. A couple other things, though, just to get to before we get to that. One, I do want to say I'm happy to everybody out there who survived the great Instagram outage of 2019.
Oh, boy.
Which happened yesterday. And I know a lot of people were affected by this. You know, we've certainly had you in our thoughts for that hour or so that it was down. This was big, though. I mean, it's funny that it's still trending today. Instagram went down for a short amount of time.
Yep, people love their gram, and so whenever it goes down, it's a huge deal.
Since you are you know, obviously you handle the social media here for Digital Trends, was this a point of panic for you? How did you feel about this?
So I wasn't actually one of the people that had the outage. So I was completely fine. I was actually on Twitter when I first heard about it.
Okay.
So I was on Twitter and I just started seeing Instagram down, hashtag Instagram down just started trending. And I was like, oh boy, oh boy. And whenever something goes down, Facebook, Instagram, any social media that people use a lot and care a lot about, I love watching the reactions because they're the funniest things ever. You go on Twitter and you just have a list of just GIFs, videos, memes, and it's just like where the internet just like, the internet always wins when something goes down. Yeah. Like it's
no matter
truly
what side
amazing.
you're on.
It's truly amazing. It's one of my favorite things.
It did, and it did go down, and people did freak out about it. I mean, for me, whenever that happens, I actually just go to Twitter. That's where I ended up. That's where I end up heading.
You know what's funny is there's hardly ever any Twitter outages.
Yeah, Twitter really seems to, like, so far so good.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But you know, in the last 2 years, I can't think of any that I've been affected by. I've been affected by Facebook outages, and I've been affected by other Instagram outages, but Twitter, you know.
Now that you have just said that, that is probably what's going to happen.
Someone's going to hack Twitter and try to shut it down now.
I'm looking at here on YouTube, some of our comments coming through on YouTube. Eva says, I don't have that problem with Instagram either, so I'm curious. Super Monkey says, I tried logging in about a half hour ago and it wouldn't connect. Just sits there spinning. Oh no, panic. Panic. Also, hello from Tennessee, Super Monkey says. Yeah, it is hilarious to see the reactions. I mean, Instagram goes down for a short amount of time, and it is
and people lose their mind.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, and kind of like touch on like the actual outage.
Yeah.
So what it was is when you would go to your timeline feed, it would have like the first picture in your feed, but you would scroll down or try to go down to the next person, and it just wouldn't load.
Okay.
So that I think is probably like one of the most frustrating things is if it just you have like a 404 or a site down message or an error message, I'm like, okay, they're working on it. Yeah. But when it's just like says it's buffering or it says it's loading, I get very frustrated very quickly. My patience is not very
Do you ever throw things?
I don't throw things, but I like just get pissed off and say, F this.
Well, if you survived it, thank you. You know, R.I.P.
You're still here.
Didn't make it.
We're all still here.
The great Instagram outage of 2019. Got one more thing I wanted to talk about. This has to do with virtual reality, and it's a new trailer that's being released right now. It came out a couple of days ago, actually, but I wanted to kind of draw some attention to it because I think it's pretty cool. Pretty cool use of virtual reality, and it's a trailer that's out from Time Magazine and a group called Felix and Paul, who have teamed up with aerospace company NanoRacks and the Center for the Advancement for Science and Space, how to get all that out there. Basically, they're creating a VR space video at the International Space Station. It's called ISS Experience, and what they're doing is actually pretty unique compared to other VR videos that we've had before. And we've seen some videos from the space station, but what happened is they just got them up there over this last couple of months, or last month really. And they've got VR headsets that are fitted for the astronauts to where it's gonna be the first cinema level VR experience for a spacewalk. So they're going to go out in full virtual reality on a spacewalk.
That's absolutely insane.
That's amazing. I am really excited for this. I mean, I'm curious if other people out there are as well. But this idea of it, and you can see kind of the video as we're walking through here, some of the different technology. You know, you think we're getting so used to this kinds of stuff like VR and everything else that goes along with it, and different kinds of filming that you think, okay, yeah, big deal. It actually is a pretty big deal to get that stuff up there to the International Space Station and get it fitted so that they can wear it and not bother them while they're actually, you know, trying to survive in space. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's not easy to get stuff in space, or else we'd just be sending stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And then this like very elaborate camera equipment as well.
Yeah.
And you got to deal with, like you said, the coordination with the astronauts. Because I watched the trailer beforehand, and you couldn't hear it because it was just the video, but the audio. They're like placing one of the VR cameras in the middle of a walkway, like so we can capture everyone. And like one of the I think he was a NASA employee or maybe an astronaut. He goes, yeah, they're not gonna like that. Like it's like right in their way while they're trying to do their job. So there's a lot of coordination, but I'm really excited for this. I haven't really bought into VR too much, and just haven't really done much that I really liked, and I'm really looking forward to trying this out. I think it'll be a life-changing experience for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. And this is, so you can see the trailer right now, Digital Trends. We've got an article up that's going up about it. And then also you can check out that video that we just played right there. So it's pretty exciting. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Who doesn't want to go to space and be an astronaut?
Exactly.
Here's your chance.
Yeah, there it is. All right, well, Riley, thank you for hopping on here today.
Thank you.
To talk about all the tech headlines that we have going on, and we have lots of Digital Trends live yet. So coming up in just a little bit, we're going to be joined by Ronan Glon to talk about some big stories in the world of automotive tech. But right now, we're here in Portland, Oregon, and we're going to be heading to New York, continuing this talk about virtual reality and augmented reality. We are going to be heading over to Jeremy Kaplan, our editor-in-chief, who's standing by right now with Lyron Bentovin of the Glimpse Group. He's the CEO and president, to talk about AR, VR, in the business workplace, and all kinds of different things that are going on with that. Let's head there right now. Hello, Jeremy.
Greetings and hello. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. The space station VR platform you're just talking about, fantastic. I think that stuff is so neat. One of the great things about VR is its ability to immerse you in an experience you've never seen before. There's this challenge, though, of like, what sort of device am I going to wear? How am I going to get there? What does the future look like? For a glimpse of what the future is going to look like, I'm bringing you Lyron Bentovin, who is the CEO. Is that correct?
That's it for now.
CEO of the Glimpse Group, which is all about VR and AR and what the future is going to look like. Lyron, thank you very much for coming on this.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
You have a very intriguing business model. So first of all, can you just tell us a little bit about the company and what you guys do?
So the Glimpse Group is a platform for augmented reality and virtual reality companies. The unique model we have is we bring in a lot of early stage technology companies, and they become part of Glimpse. And they continue to focus on building their products and taking them to market, while we take care of everything else, and creating this ecosystem of entrepreneurs and technologists in VR and AR that are all focused in one mission, is pushing this technology forward.
So not an incubator, not a venture capital firm, you're just a company that's got a bunch of...
We are a company that is focusing on multiple markets and kind of finding solutions that kind of businesses in those markets can benefit from today.
And very business focused, right? How do you feel about VR and AR as a consumer platform?
It's fun. And kind of, it's cool, but we have a statement that Glimpse cool is not enough. So we're trying to figure out how do we solve problems and needs in the business section, but not just business, non-profits are businesses too, and solve them today with today's technology.
Which is interesting because I think you've seen a consumer response to the existing platforms, and consumers have looked and said, this is okay, I guess. You know, we've got Google's platform, we had the Google Glass for a while, there's VR headsets exist, of course, but consumers aren't really, I think there's a lot more interest in them than there's actual people willing to spend money right now.
And even when people spend the money, because those are early products and they're in reality prototypes, all the things that's out there right now are in many realities prototypes, especially the ones early on. Sure. So when you had Samsung go out with the Gear VR and showing also the really cool ads on primetime TV, and then people get that, it's like, oh, I want to have that. And they put it on, and they realize there's a lot of limitations to that. So the kind of more advanced VR platforms right now are great for gamers, and there's really cool games that they play in. But what we're focusing on is how do you use this technology to further business use, training, kind of healthcare, education. All of these are the future of VR, and we're trying to bring the future to now.
Well, tell us about the future. What does it look like? What sort of companies have you guys baked into this giant company, this meta company that you guys have?
Yeah, so we've got kind of a variety of companies, each with its own focus. So if you look at early adopter, they're a company focused on education. They're focusing both on K-12 education and bringing VR and AR into those kind of schools, as well as kind of children's hospitals. And we have kind of a really good partnership with Montefiore, where we're working to bring this technology to kids that are kind of staying in the hospital long term.
I've seen some demos of what VR and AR look like in classrooms, and it's fantastic. It's just so much better and more immersive than a teacher talking to students.
Yeah, so if you look at kind of the evolution of education, when at least I was in school, we had blackboards and that was it. My kids in school, they have smart boards and whiteboards, and there's a lot more tools that the teacher can use to bring the world to the classroom.
Sure.
The future is taking the kids to the world. So the space station, as we were talking kind of before the segment, why not take the students to see the space station? So one of our products that Early Adopter has is called Arcana, and it actually focuses on space. So you go in, and it's a product that is geared towards school libraries and town libraries. You put on a VR headset, and you start with an Indiana Jones kind of game, and then you evolve with it to learn about space. So you have a variety of books around you, again, tying the kids to the books. And then as you flip through the books, you're transported to the space station, you're transported to the moon, and you can throw rocks in the moon and plant the U.S. flag. So all those things exist today, and we're trying to work with our partners to bring them into kind of libraries in schools around the country.
What's your take on the Microsoft HoloLens, which to me is one of these platforms that seems much more focused on business than on the consumer?
So the HoloLens is a great tool, and it's still the greatest AR headset out there. But it has a lot of limitations, and those limitations basically cause Microsoft to say, you know what, we're going to skip version 2 and go to version 3. And we are all eagerly awaiting version 3 to see how advanced that is versus version 1, because the problem with version 1 is, first of all, the field of view. It is very, very limited. And as you look at anyone that has put a HoloLens on, and they see all people are advertising, oh, the surgeons can do this and that. Yeah, right. Well, kind of the problem is that kind of right now your field of view is about this big. And it's very hard to kind of look at a whole room where you can place assets, and Microsoft did a great job of kind of scanning the room and ability to kind of put things in the room. But when you try and actually operate in that room, you're limited by that field of view. The other is the ability to control it with a variety of gestures that are not humane. So I hope that the next version, and based on the big contract they won with the military, I would guess the military saw the new version rather than the old version and decided to spend $500 million into that. So I'm really excited about that coming out in the next few months.
For our viewers, the rumor we're dancing around here is that at the Mobile World Congress show in a couple of weeks, Microsoft is going to show off, in theory, possibly, maybe, who knows, show off a new version of HoloLens, which would be cool. I've tried that product, the first version anyway, and it's neat. I walked on the moon. I peeked underneath rocks, and it was just like being there.
Yeah, it is a very, very neat product, and our kind of training company, Adept Realities, is using it in a variety of ways, but it has limitations. It's expensive, it's relatively hard to use, and the field of view is really driving kind of really narrow usage of it. But I hope that the next version will solve all of these, and it will really be a kind of a new gateway into using augmented reality in a professional setting at corporations. So
your company is fairly hardware agnostic. You're building the software that lives inside of these platforms. But you must have some thoughts on what the ideal VR or AR platform is, whether it's glasses like these or a big thing that you put over your head.
Definitely. We all want a big thing to put on our head. That's the dream. Hopefully all the hardware designers will be able to design something really big.
Like a Darth Vader.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, I think down the road, and obviously there's a lot of technology challenges between now and then, but down the road, we will all go to some kind of contact lens. And the contact lens will actually be both VR and AR, and you'll put it on, and you'll control it with what we call cell phones right now will be a mobile computer device. And you will flip a button, and you'll move to augmented reality, and then the world around us will have whatever things that we've authorized and we want to have in this space. And you flip another button, you're in VR, and now you can be anywhere, anytime, and experience that from that.
Well, that's fantastic. Your vision of the world is the one I want to live in. How do we get there, though? What's it going to take to get there?
It's a long road of hard development and investment, and kind of luckily, all the big companies in the world are committed to making this new era a reality. If you look at kind of Microsoft and Google and Facebook, and they're all spending, and HTC and and Samsung, they're all spending a lot of money developing the path to get there. Just like if we sat down here and talked about the mobile industry in the mid-'80s, and we talked about kind of what could you do with this kind of Motorola flip phone, and it's like,
right.
It's pretty cool. It fits in the pocket now, which is way better than what we had kind of a couple of years ago.
But you're not running any useful apps.
But there's no kind of, if I talked about the vision of where we go with the technology, the vision is where Samsung and Apple are right now. But to talk about that in the 80s, people will say you're insane.
Right.
If I told you that you could sit on the beach in Hawaii, have a video conversation with your mom, read any book that was ever published, kind of listen to any piece of music, watch any video, and work, and nobody will know that you're missing the office because you have all your productivity tools, all in a device that fits in your pocket or your purse. If I told you that in the 80s, you'd say yeah, you're reading too much science fiction.
I'd say you're out of your mind.
But that's the reality 15, 20 years later. So same is here, it's going to be a lot of work and a lot of investment. But the cycle has started, and it's just going to get better.
I remember I read this fascinating article about a man who had bought a distillery in Scotland and wanted to start making scotch. But of course, the challenge is the main product from scotch is 10-year-old scotch. So what do you do in the 10 years while you're waiting to get that final product? So you're building a lot of other little small products. You're putting out T-shirts and merchandise. You're making food products that have some form of scotch baked in. So it sounds like you have sort of a similar concept here, like we're going to get to this fantastic world down the road, but in the meantime, let's prepare for it, let's do everything we can, and let's create things that work with what we currently have.
Yeah, that's exactly our philosophy. When companies come and join Glimpse, they have this vision of this is the world and this is where we're going to do for education or for data visualization or for sports industry. And then we say, okay, that's great. That's a great vision. We buy in on that. We want you to develop that. But think back to today. What can you do today with today's existing hardware technology and capabilities that will create value to your customers? Mm-hmm. Work on that today, plant that flag, and then grow that flag to a kind of small kind of village and then to a town, and eventually you'll have a city that's located exactly where you want to be.
That's fantastic. So that, ladies and gentlemen, a glimpse of the future from Liran Bentovim, the CEO of the Glimpse Group. And I don't know about you, but I plan on having those contact lenses anytime soon. We'll get rid of these glasses, and we'll go straight to VR/AR contact lenses. Anyway, we need to take a short break, but we'll be back shortly with even more fantastic stuff from Digital Trends.
All right, so again, thank you. Thank you, Liran Bentovim and Jeremy, for hopping in here for Digital Trends. Really fascinating. I also want to get those contacts. That sounds amazing. And maybe something that we can look forward to coming up here in the future. Coming up on this show, on Digital Trends Live, we are going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to be hopping back on with Ronan Glon. Ronan from our automotive section here for Digital Trends, talking about 3 really big trending stories in the world of automotive and tech that have been happening over the last week or so. Some really exciting things that are happening with that because those 2 worlds are so much intertwined. So we'll be taking a break. We're broadcasting live. I'm seeing everybody hopping in, talking about their different comments and questions when it comes down to VR and AR. I think we all want virtual reality to get here, as we heard from Liran's interview. Maybe a little bit longer, but nonetheless, it is on its way. So a lot to digest there. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thanks everyone for joining in. A really fun, exciting conversation going on across our different social media platforms. So drop those comments and questions in as we go through. I'm Greg Nibbler, and now we're going to be talking about automotive, the world of tech, how those two intertwine. And we've got our world traveler, Ronan Glahn, on the line right now. Hello, Ronan.
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. So every time that you're on the show, I feel like it's a where in the world is Ronan Glahn. Where are you right now?
I'm in a hotel in the Stockholm airport right now. I'm taking the second flight to somewhere north of Sweden tomorrow to drive Volvos in the snow.
So, drive Volvos in the snow, some random, you don't even know where you're going. I love the idea of that. It's like, yeah, get on a plane. You're going to drive a car at some point. It'll be in the snow somewhere north. Well, Ronan, thanks for doing all that because of your job, we get to take a look at a lot of different things that go on in the world of automotive and tech. And there's 3 stories that I know you wanted to hit and cover that have happened over this last week that are pretty big. And one of them is actually something that we brought up last week, and I briefly talked about it, and I'm really excited to get your opinion on it. And it has to do with a police department in California taking on a Tesla Model S as one of their cars. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's the police department in Fremont, California, which is where Tesla is based. That's where their factory and their headquarters are. So right now, what's preventing a Tesla from becoming a police cruiser is that it's a pretty expensive car, all things considered. I mean, the Model S starts at about $80,000. A Ford Explorer that's going to pull you over on the highway is about maybe $40,000. So the Fremont Police Department started with a used Tesla Model S, and they're working with various suppliers to develop all the parts you need to make a police car. So anything from the lights to the prisoner partition, the bull bar. That's been going on for about a year, and it's almost ready for its first real-world trial. So it's going to be interesting to see how it performs.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm curious for a couple of aspects. I mean, one, that is definitely an expensive vehicle. Although I suppose you would probably save money over the long haul, which is the whole point of Tesla in the electric, save it on gas. But as far as the retrofits, what was involved in that?
Well, all the parts are being created from scratch. There's no factory. Tesla doesn't offer a police package like Ford does. So you need to create everything from scratch. But going back to your point, it's a very good point. The police department is going through the trouble of outfitting a Tesla S because it estimates it can save about $32,000 in 5 years because it's not paying for gas. There's maintenance involved. I mean, you still need to change brake pads on a Tesla, for instance, maybe not as often because of the regen, but you don't need to do oil changes, for instance. So they can save, even if they're buying used, and even if it costs more than a Ford Explorer or Dodge Charger, they can save quite a bit of money over the 5-year life cycle of the average police car.
Why haven't other police departments or different public services utilized this more?
I think it's a cost issue, but I think that if the pilot, so there's one police cruiser in Fremont, the Tesla S, they're going to test it in 2019. And if everything works out, they're probably going to add more Tesla Model S to their fleet. So I would think that if the pilot program goes well, you're going to start seeing more and more of them pop up, not only in California, but also around the country to replace kind of the Dodge Chargers, Ford Explorers, that generation of vehicles that are reaching the end of their life cycle.
I did think it was cool too that they're outfitting the carport with solar panels, to help keep the energy up on those things and store that for it. So, which would definitely lower the cost as well. So, an interesting concept that they're doing. It'll be curious to see what their results are and how many other people do it. But continuing on with Tesla, there are some rivals for Tesla that have definitely been making some news, and one of them being Porsche. So, what can you tell us about this new the news from Porsche?
So it's called the Porsche Taycan, which is a name that means lively young horse, apparently. It was presented,
Odd.
I mean, it's a reference to the Porsche logo, which has a horse on the emblem. It's not just Ferrari with a horse. But you might know it as the Mission E concept. It was shown in 2015, I believe, at the Frankfurt Auto Show. And it's making the transition from a concept car to a production model. And Porsche has made it very clear that it's taking on the Tesla Model S with this car. There are no two ways around it. This is Porsche's, I hate the term, but Tesla fighter, really. And Porsche just announced that, so we know some of the basic specs, 600 horsepower, 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds for the basic model. And it's going to be compatible with this super fast 350 kilowatt charging. And Porsche announced that's 0 to 60 in 4 minutes. And we're not talking speed, we're talking 60 miles. Yeah, 60 miles of range in 4 minutes. So you can drive, if you're on the freeway, you can drive about an hour just by waiting 4 minutes. And the best part about this is going to be free for 3 years.
It's going to be, yeah, so the free site, yeah, so there's a couple of different things here. So again, it's called the Porsche Taycan, right? Taycan?
Yeah. Taycan, apparently.
Taycan, okay. Lively young horse, the Porsche Lively young horse. So they take this from the concept, they're making it a reality. So paying for the electricity for 3 years that Porsche is going to do, how do they even do that? You say, like, here's my electric bill and...
Well, I mean, it's through the Electrify America network, so you're going to have a prepaid card, basically. It's like imagine when you bought a 911, if Porsche gave you a prepaid, Texaco or Chevron gas card for 3 years.
Gotcha.
That's how it's going to work, essentially. But they haven't released full details. This was announced. The car is not going on sale. Well, deliveries won't start until late 2020, so Porsche has time to figure out kind of the ins and outs. But they announced the free 3-year complimentary charging, just the basics, basically, of the program.
Well, and taking on the Tesla Model S directly, as you said, which, I mean, Tesla hasn't had that much direct competition, but I mean, that's a big brand that's jumping into it. A couple of interesting things I thought with it. They were talking about giving the 2 rear passengers what they call a foot garage. What exactly does that mean?
So it's the term that Porsche used, and frankly, it's kind of a poor German translation. I've seen this in person.
Like lively young horse?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good poor Eurasian translation, I guess. But when you're sitting in the back seat of the Taycan, instead of having a flat floor, you have kind of like square-shaped inserts in the floor where you can put your feet. So it feels like you're sitting kind of in a coupe almost, not in this big sedan. And also because of the roofline it's slanted, it's almost like a coupe-like roofline. You have more space with this setup.
And so again, this is the Mission E concept that's become the Taycan from Porsche. You can read more about it at Digital Trends as well. Anything else? Really, I mean, I love the fact that it's pay for electricity for 3 years. You said it's going to be late 2020. The foot garage. There's also something about a hovering center console.
It's a design term. The way it's gonna almost appear like it's hovering, but it's not going to actually hover. It's not the Jetsons quite yet.
We're almost
one
there,
day, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe that's what you'll get to see in northern Sweden later. All right, so all this is at Digital Trends, and anything else that you want to add to that, just for people to know about this one?
Well, just briefly, the Taycan rather is going to launch in 2020, and Porsche is going to actually release a second version of it in, I believe, 2021, and it's going to be a station wagon of all things. So imagine an electric Porsche station wagon, but that's coming in 2021. We saw it as a concept in 2017, I believe. It was the Mission E Cross Turismo.
A Porsche electric station wagon. This is the world that we are in right now. So that's coming up. So that's 2021 where you're going to be able to see that. And now the last one we want to bring up too is something that clearly I can definitely afford, which is the Lamborghini Huracan Evo. What can you tell us about this?
It's an update of the Huracan, which has been on sale for a number of years now. And it's not, when car companies do mid-cycle updates, they will maybe tweak the front bumper and add 5 horsepower or something and say it's brand new. This is not that.
Okay, wait, I gotta ask, is that you drifting across right there? Because the way that video was just cut together.
That's the way the video was cut together. I did that on the track, but that's not me in the video.
Okay. Now I want to cut myself together, making it look like that. All right, so yeah, there you are. That was live as the drift. You were just calm and collected as you went through there. So you got to drive this and actually test it out. What is it like driving it?
It's amazing. I mean, it's super fast, but you would expect a Lamborghini with 640 horsepower to be fast. That's not a surprise. But what really stood out to me is the Lamborghini has added real steering on the back wheels. So when you're going around a tight corner, the front wheels, for instance, you're turning right, the back wheels turn in the opposite direction as the front wheels to reduce the turning radius, and it makes the car so much sharper.
Wow.
You feel it when you first take a corner. You feel it. You don't need to spend 20 minutes behind the wheel to see that the car is a lot nimbler.
And again, we're talking about the Lamborghini Huracan Evo, which is the update. Just behind the scenes, so, we started off talking about you traveling to northern Sweden to go drive a car today or tomorrow, whenever you're going to be up there. Like, how does, walk us through how it happens for you when Lamborghini calls up and says, hey, we want you to drive this. Like, what do you do? Where do you go?
I go wherever they hold the drive event. I mean, the Lamborghini was in Bahrain. The The Volvo is in northern Sweden. I did the Porsche Panamera GTS, which we talked about a few weeks ago, also in Bahrain. I mean, I go wherever the cars are, really.
So you travel to Bahrain, and then they just take you out to some random track where they've got this set up?
Yeah. There are times where we drive to the track. There are times where there's no track component. I mean, if you're driving a Volvo, you're not going to drive on a track. So it depends from brand to brand, program to program, and car to car. There's no two programs are alike, really.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I didn't know how that worked. And then they just hand you the keys and be like, yeah, go tear it up on the track for a little bit.
Yeah, basically. I mean, you have to follow a lead car, and you can't pass the lead car. But lead car is usually, when you're on a track, a pro driver from the company. So if it's Lamborghini, it's going to be one of Lamborghini's test drivers or one of AMG's test drivers. So there's no way I would pass them anyways. The guy's faster than anyone else on the field.
Yeah, it's probably not something you even want to attempt and try to do.
No way.
Well, how much is the Lamborghini Huracan Evo?
It's about $260,000 is the base price. And then you can add options. I mean, you can match the paint to your favorite pair of shorts, or you can have different stitching on the seats, whatever it is you want.
Like, I'm gonna pay $260,000, but it better match my shorts, man. This color better it's my favorite blue. Well, that's amazing that you got to go drive that, and running all of your articles are really fascinating, talking about this, the different evolution, different things that go on in the world of automobiles, technology, and you are on top of all of it because you're always on the road going to check all of this out. How can people follow you? What's the best way, other than reading all your articles at digitaltrends.com, what's the best way to follow your travels?
Twitter, I would say.
And what's your handle on there?
European Car News.
European Car News. Very easy one to follow. Ronan, thank you so much for taking some time out to talk to us, and excited to see whatever it is that you're going to be driving in northern Sweden in an article soon to be on Digital Trends. Ronan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. So this is part of the fun here of Digital Trends Live. Every day, we learn something new, we talk to interesting people, we bring you up to date with the tech headlines, we read your comments live on the air. It's really, really a lot of fun, and I want to say thank you to everybody who joins us, because we're live here every day, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, with a new episode of Digital Trends Live. And coming up tomorrow on the show, we're going to have Travis of the Bad Crypto Podcast. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency and everything that Travis is up to. He's clearly an expert. He's got a podcast about it. Travis from the Bad Crypto Podcast, and one of our favorite guests here on Digital Trends Live, Drew Prindle. Drew Prindle, our emerging technologies editor, who gets to see all the weird, crazy stuff. Tomorrow, he wants to talk about the development of the genome sequence. Wait a minute, how am I even saying this? I don't even know. I can't even pronounce the name of the salamander. They're figuring out how to grow limbs. Maybe we'll be able to grow limbs. Drew is going to be on to talk about that. A genome sequencing for limb regeneration. There we go. That's why Drew hops on to talk about it. Drew joining us tomorrow here on Digital Trends Live. A big thank you to Riley Wynn, who joined us here at the beginning of the show for our tech headlines. And thank you to Jeremy Kaplan, talking to Lee Ron Bentavin about the advent of AR and VR and the real exciting things, the real exciting applications that we're going to be able to have for that coming up. And of course, Ronan Glahn talking about the world of automotive technology. All of this broadcasting live with you wherever you're watching us. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you get an update every time we go live, because we do like to talk to you. Like I said, tomorrow, got Travis from the Bad Crypto Podcast. We've got Drew Prindle joining us, and we've got you hopping in here with us every day. Thanks for watching. I'm Greg Nibbler. We'll talk to you tomorrow with more Digital Trends Live.